Here. Thank you all for being here to understand what generative AI is in project management, where we're seeing it as OnePlan. I have been in the project and portfolio management space for about 20 years in different roles, and currently with OnePlan Solutions, which is a provider of a project management cloud platform. We have embraced generative AI within our organization, as well as included within our product very early on, since the release of ChatGPT. So hopefully you'll be able to get some insights on where we are and where this is going. So first question I have for everyone is, and I'll put it in the chat. How many of us are using generative AI right now? How many of you are currently using any of the tools that are available in the market right now for enhancing our work? Just interested. You can put a reaction as part of the response. See if I can get that. Okay, we have basic research and scripting. Okay, yes. You're not? Okay, great. You'll have something to learn here. Yes. Okay. Not using? No. No. Surprising that there's a lot of no's, because I'm going to be covering the resources within PMI itself, which are pretty good, I have to say, from my review of what's available in the market. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for the responses. So we're gonna the takeaways from the webinar today is, generative AI, how is revolutionizing project management, how OnePlan leverages AI for strategic project and portfolio management, how we've integrated in the tool and where we're going, and then what are the benefits. And I have to say that you really have to embrace it. I know that project management as a discipline is fairly structured. We have our governance, our methodology, our approach to delivering. It's very different in every organization based on a number of different factors: leadership, history, importance to the organization. But this particular technology, I think, is going to change the way we do work. It's going to make it faster and easier if we learn how to use it and leverage it for its benefit. So quick background here. This is really, the next step. We have had AI around for some time, and we have the opportunity to talk to Gartner and to Forrester. Predictive analytics have been around for a while. It's just that the leap that occurred in November 2022, when ChatGPT became generally available, was a significant change in the market. It made this technology that was only available to a few available to everyone. And it's also important to note that this is just one approach to AI. The AI space is actually very wide. We're talking here about what's called large language models. This technology has gone and spread pretty much like wildfire. And this is, by the way, something that I collected last May. So if I was to update this, it would be even greater. But the point is that all other generally available technologies to consumers and businesses, while it took a very long time for their adoption, ChatGPT in 5 days took to reach 1 million users, and the amount of visits and time that folks are using the service and services, because again, now it's not the only service available, and through the OpenAI, which owns ChatGPT, partnership with Microsoft, the technology became even more available through its integration within Azure and within Office. I don't have to say that Google has an offering. Basically, every major technology company has a platform. We believe that Microsoft is leading through its relationship with OpenAI and all the other moves that they've made internally. But again, this is AI and the use of AI and technology in organizations has been around for a while. It's just that this particular technology has evolved fairly quickly. It's proven itself out, and it's becoming widely accepted. So its use within project management and portfolio management, it's going to be significant. So here I'll take you back some history. I think this is an interesting example. This was ChatGPT. Again, I would consider us early adopters because we started integrating with it in January of 2023. And so, hey, I have to learn this. So here I have an example. At this particular time frame in August, the concept of add-ins, plugins were being put into ChatGPT. By the way, that is now gone. Now we're talking about another concept for customization. But plugins at that time was actually a useful technology. And I'm going to try to bring it. I'm going to bring up. I want to bring up and the example so you can see it. Let's see. So this is. Can everybody see my browser screen, or are you still seeing PowerPoint? And apologies because I am a Teams meeting user and we're using Zoom.
We are seeing the website.
Okay, great. All right, so this is actually the share of the ChatGPT OpenAI, and it simply started with a very simple prompt. By the way, there's a way of doing prompt guides even that are within the PMI resource, which I'm going to point to you in a second. But this is I'm going to do an FRID project for a warehouse for package items, and I want to do 3 outline levels with task. I don't know anything about FID. Okay, so I was using a plugin that allowed me to build a WBS, and you'll see that in a second. So here we go, and it's going through and giving me the general task, what could be a project plan for an FRID project warehouse. So it goes through it. I asked again, I was using the plugin that allowed me to produce this in a tabular format. So it does give it to me a tabular format. Now, if you can see, it's still not very useful. It's just putting it as to-dos with no due dates. I go through the entire conversation, okay, with ChatGPT, and now it begins to take shape. I actually ask, define approximate due dates for the tasks. I could have done it specifically, but I went ahead and just asked. I'm just going through the process of building what will be my work breakdown structure. I asked for these due dates to be updated because now I give it dates. So now we're starting to see what is going to be a project plan. It gets better. I say, okay, suggest the best type of resources by role for each task. So then it tells me, okay, for all these different tasks, these are the best resource types that you're going to require. Okay, add the roles to the column. Okay, there we go. And now I have dates, I have tasks, I have dates, I have roles. I keep going and add duration. Okay, great. So I added the duration that I had originally gone through it. Now I say, oh, the warehouse setup is delayed by 1 day, change the schedule. Again, testing how it could actually manage the schedule change. Keep going through doing more refinement of what would be my WBS. Now I ask to include outline numbers to the schedule. Then I keep going and I get really, I get carried away, if you will, because now I go insert issues and risk column next to the role. So now I'm going to get into risk and issue management, and trying to determine exactly where I might have some exposure. I could have refined that, by the way, that prompt with additional information to make it even more accurate. Insert proactive risk management mitigation planning as a column and provide recommendations. Okay, now this is getting interesting because I've gone through and identified risk, which I could have refined, and now I am requesting mitigation planning, which, by the way, it's being included within my chart, within my table format. We're getting into my leadership is really interested in business outcomes that we're delivering. So I go through and attempt to define business outcomes from what I'm going to be getting, and then key results, which are the metrics behind them. We go into a little bit deeper analysis. I actually include a change management plan for the RFID implementation. We get into costing. So I went through and did costing to a total cost of the project. I add the cost to the schedule. Anyway, I'm going to, over a period of, I think this took probably about 90 minutes. Now prior to this, I had some experience in prompting, so I kind of knew how to manage this. At the end, what I end up with is a risk plan. I added security, and I finished the exercise by asking it to deliver a project brief. And so all that information basically gets summarized in a project brief that I can, proceed to include in my business case or not. So this was in August of 2023. We're now a little bit further along, but it's just an example. If you learn how to use this technology, this is the output that you can obtain. So back to the presentation. PMI actually has done a pretty decent job of giving you some resources. If you haven't accessed it, this is available to PMI members. There are 2 courses. There's an additional resource, and there's actually a version of ChatGPT within the PMI site that is available to members. I found this course pretty good. I had taken a couple of courses just in the other resources that are available, and comparing this content to what's available in EDX at a general level and Skillshare. I think this is pretty good. I think it's very well done. I did not like the suggested Gen AI tools because we were not included, but also because it's really hard. There are so many tools out there. Almost every one of the work management solutions in the market have a component of Gen AI. So not being comprehensive is really, I think, a disservice to the members. So, I know it's hard to come up with an inventory, but being exclusive, it also is not good. So the suggested Gen AI tools, again, this is the earlier version. These 2, I think, are fantastic resources. So if you're just getting started in the journey, I encourage you to go and take, the Gen AI overview for project managers. The prompt engineering guide and the resource guide, I think, is pretty good. The last slide, I think it's excellent because it tells you, okay, what other project deliverables can you do with ChatGPT? And I proved that in the case that I did in August 2023 for my RFID project. I basically tried to hit every one of these areas that I could have documented, within my my project plan for my RFID project. So I'm trying here to show you that it will enhance, support your role as a project manager using generative AI tools. The second course, it's new. It has to do more with the data landscape, and this is really, really important because what generative AI is, if you haven't seen the definition, and this is right from the first chapter in this course, is you're using algorithms and models to generate new data based on existing data. So it's training on basically everything that's in the web or anything that you specifically tell it to. In the case of the PMI tool, Infinity, it's training obviously in all the PMI content. And that's how we can get a response. And I have some examples that I did for you before this, just so we can see it. This was also an interesting takeaway again from that first one, because it tells us as the task complexity goes higher, the need for human intervention is also required. So I think for project managers, that's great because we're always doing analysis. And that means that our intervention is going to be required for any use of this technology in project management. And you saw it as I was going through the example for my FRID project. I kept prompting and telling it to either correct itself or add additional information. So I was creating the project business case, if you will, and among other things, because I did ask it to do all these other prompts. I have to review it. You have to review it. You're going to have to perfect it. But it's going to give you that baseline foundation level, if you will, in order to make your job easier and quicker. So, and they divided in automation, assistant augmentation. I'm going to reference some Gartner use cases, but they're generally the same. But again, the interesting takeaway from this graph is, as PMs, we're going to be required because the solution, this technology is not going to give us the perfect answer all the time, and it's our experience, our expertise that will allow the content of the analysis to actually be of value to our organizations. So again, this is right within PMI for members. There is a generative AI prompt engineering guide. So you see prompt engineering a lot. Basically, that's the way that we interact with the technology. The questions, the information that we request in order for the GPT engines to respond. So again, another free resource for members. Then finally, we have PMI Infinity, which is the ChatGPT version of PMI. I found interesting the terms of use because in the very first it says, with PMI Infinity, you can, for example, perform the following queries: ask information questions. This is what is a project charter? Ask explanation questions. Can you explain the concept of WBS? I think they're highlighting here more reference type questions, with respect to methodology, frameworks, and so on. And I think that's valuable. In fact, here I'm going to see if we can get to another example for you that I tested. Pardon the delay here. I'm trying to find my way to all the resources that I have for you. What I was asking, I was asking prompts based on the difference between PMBOK 6 and 7. And let me go here. And it was the response was pretty good. Okay, so what I did, I said, okay, let's start with this one. As a project manager, I want to know what are the new process steps, PMBOK 6 versus 7. I came up with 6, and before we had initiate, plan, execute, control, and close. So what is the difference now? Okay, the latest PMBOK tells us that the new process flows are as follows: define, explore, decide, deliver, close. Awesome, great. Needed to know that. Now I can try to hone in and see if our project management methodology internally needs to change or shift a little bit to accommodate what's in 7. Another one, this is an easy one, and I'm sure all of you could do a search in the web for this and sort through many different templates. But here I said, okay, as a project manager, and here's where we get into you always want to say what the role is, what the expertise in, what you want it to do. Provide a template form with specific fields that meets the criteria for risk registry following best practices in PMBOK 7. So there's a lot of information in that prompt. It's just not, okay, just give me a risk registry. I want it to be with fields so I can have a form that is reflected of PMBOK 7. Here we go, risk registry template. It's not that different from what we currently use, but I just wanted to test to see if there was any difference. It went through and gave me the definitions, okay, best practices, and summary. There we go. We have our template for our risk registry. So, and again, I'm using PMI Infinity for that. So I think for Again, reference questions, anything having to do with best practices that are within PMI. This is the place to go. So you're not. I don't think we're going to find a better. You could try your own generative AI engine and load Pinbox 7 and have it train on that data. But I think for that type of questions, this is extremely valuable. So again, available to all members within the site. So I'm going to shift gears and now talk about Microsoft Copilot and Planner Premium. So Microsoft last November had a significant shift in the definition of its product. It actually started back in 2019, but it did change the way that it's going to be providing the project products. In 2019, Project for the Web, or the new version of Project in Office, was launched. And last November, this is November 2023, Microsoft decides that they're going to basically combine Planner and Project for the Web, and they're going to call it Planner and Planner Premium. So what that means is, from an experience standpoint, you're going to be seeing both Planner and Project for the Web within one single experience, where you will be managing both different types of work management tools, if you will. Planner, for all of you that have not used it before, is kind of a Kanban board approach. I think in its early days, what it was trying to do was meet what Trello was, which is now owned by Atlassian. And then Project for the Web was the new project that was supposed to replace, the project scheduling engine that we all probably know and have worked with as project managers. So why is this significant? Well, first of all, this is embedded within Office 365, within M365 within your organizations. If you're an Office organization, a Microsoft organization, which most organizations are, in some way, shape, or form, this is not going to be available to you. And I'm going to have here an example for you just to show. So here I am within Teams on the web, and this is the first. This is preview product. It is available for early release customers, in case your organization is into this. But I lit up Copilot just so you can see it. So I created this yesterday, actually, and if I go, couple of interesting things here. Here are my, first of all, a list of what I call my plans, and you can see that some have, this little icon that is project. Is really what it is project. And the way what it was created, because I went here and did new plan. Again, I'm in Teams. For those of you that use Teams in the organization, I go new plan, and you can see that I have something that's called Basic, which is Planner in Office, and Premium, which is what Project for the Web was. Now it's called Planner Premium. I have templates. Okay. What is significant here is that you can see that in Premium, I'm going to be having Copilot. So again, in the GenAI mode, if we want the generative AI engine, ChatGPT type technology to support us, you will have it within the Premium Planner Premium product. So, and yesterday I went through, I created a new premium plan. I named it. I named it QBR for QBR quarterly business review for Q1. I actually went and asked for it to create a plan for my QBR, and these are the tasks that it created. I went through and then started putting folks that I want to work on this. This is, again, part of why is it important. It's part of Office. Everyone in the organization that has an Office license is going to be able to receive a task within this plan, which is interesting. Think of it. Anyone in your company that you want can actually be asked to come in here and participate in a project. You'll be able to define effort, duration, start, finish dates, and so on. There's other columns, and you can create your own columns also. But also of significance is that everybody that receives a task is then going to be able to see their tasks within this pane. So all the work that I have assigned to anyone, assigned to me, is going to show up here. So you can see that that task from QBR1 actually shows up, and I can actually update it now. Okay. Again, this is in preview mode, so some of the things haven't been lit up, but I could actually upgrade, not upgrade, make progress on it. And if I needed to go to the actual task, I could go to the project directly. And when I clicked on that, by the way, I ended up going to Project Planner Premium, what is known as Project for the Web now, in Office. So, and I know we've gone tool heavy here, but I just wanted to give you that perspective because it's important, because it's going to be available for everybody. So this is invite participants at task. I can put, I can have more data available. And here's really what the crux is: the difference between Planner and Planner Premium Project for the Web, that you have effort assigned. I can have how much did I complete? What is my work remaining? We're getting into actual, schedule management. And if I go to the grid, you can see here that it's the same project that I had in Teams, but now I have it within Project for the Web. If you're interested in going deep dive into any of this and the scenarios for deployment and so on, contact me afterwards, and I can give you a walkthrough, in greater detail. But I did want to show that because, we went from starting a plan to actually using Copilot, using a template, using Copilot. I could be asking it more queries, by the way, and there's Microsoft has a plan for this, the roadmap for enhancing your ability to use it. But yet another tool to actually enhance your work when you're building schedules or tasks. So, okay, that's the Copilot side of it. Let's keep going our presentation. So hopefully that's given you an idea of generative AI, how project managers can use it. We're going to go a little deeper into it. In our particular case, within OnePlan, we built a feature called Sophia GPT, which is really the implementation of OpenAI within the Microsoft cloud. So again, Microsoft made an investment in OpenAI, which is a company that launched ChatGPT, and as a result, integrated essentially all of the OpenAI technology into Azure and Office. And they brand it Copilot, but there is such a thing as Azure OpenAI, and that's what we did. That's what we included, because OnePlan is within the Microsoft cloud. We're a cloud solution that's hosted within Azure, and we integrated Azure OpenAI again. This was early 2023. Same capabilities as you would have in ChatGPT. It's just that it's using the Azure version of it, which provides security, which give us greater control, and also the ability to expand it and provide services. And you'll see, I have some examples of how we actually do that. Within our solution, we're addressing, this is another important concept, that is that we're addressing different stakeholders. So we are project managers, and we're mostly dealing in execution and delivery. But really, as all of you know, more and more we're being asked to connect to the strategy side, to connect to the technology side. Some of you are already probably doing it, depending on where you're executing projects. So our leadership, our other stakeholders within the entire project and portfolio management space will also be using this technology. So it's important for us to understand that this not only impacts our world, it impacts the greater context of project and portfolio management, program management within our organization. So we're prepared in terms of how they're going to be using it and what they're going to be expecting from us also. So within OnePlan, what we've done is we've tried to address how every single one of these personas within project and portfolio management are going to be using the tools. Now, again, our world within execution is here, but we are bringing in data from business cases and requests that are coming in. In this area also, if you're in demand management or managing request or evaluating request, early on you could be doing analysis of request and trying to optimize based on value, based on different criteria. If your leadership is asking you to align to objective and key results, same concept. You will be able to use generative AI to perfect those measurements and try to see which ones have direct impact on your projects. Which ones can you contribute to in terms of your project? So suffice it to say, in optimization, portfolio selection, and prioritization, it's an important tool. It can be an important tool. And I would say also in resource management, in optimizing resource loads across projects, an individual project and across projects is also it's going to be important tool set. So let me. So I'm gonna make mention we based some of our early use case definition on what Gartner put out as the business value and feasibility of use cases, and they're generally the same as the ones that PMI has. They go in a little bit deeper level, I would say. Augmented data entry and input. I mean, you saw that with the very first example I did of my RFID. Automation, information retrieval, communications, and automation. Providing summary status reports is an important one. I talked about resource estimation, and I will be highlighting how we do that. Requesting prompts, which are likely to underperform, and this is more about optimization, probably at a portfolio level, or folks that are managing multiple projects, but it might be relevant to you if you're managing, again, a group and managing multiple projects. Forecasting and spend analysis, budgeting and plan optimization. These are higher end, I would say, use cases. The caveat here with all of these, it's based on the data that you have. So if you have very good data, you're likely to have a better result than if you just have empty cells that are being analyzed by the generative AI engine. So I think that goes to the data course that PMI put out there. It's really important that we focus on that, because data quality is about to become really, really important if we are going to be using any of this AI technology. Risk identification, that's a fairly common one for project managers. Data anomalies also. I went through and for every one of these, and there's specific examples where a project manager is going to be able to go through these use cases. The underperforming investments, I said, it's more for portfolio managers, PMO leads. Forecast spend completion at a project level, absolutely. Budget plan optimization, yes, at a project level. Risk identification, obviously, we have a risk loss and defects. Again, if you're doing any type of agile work or any type of QA, you could be using Gen AI for defect reduction. And obviously data anomalies if you're looking at even a project plan and seeing what's missing. The other concept is going to go across the enterprise. So if your organizations aren't looking at it right now, within IT, this is the big problem because everyone is requesting, hey, can we use this technology? And there's a lot of caveats in terms of security, in terms of data quality, in terms of sourcing, in terms of making sure that our proprietary data doesn't get into the market by the use of these tools. So I just want to highlight that, it's not, we're not only talking about project management, PMOs, project delivery within organizations. Every really part of the organization is going to be impacted by this and how they use generative AI in projects. So I'm going to try to address some of these with examples. Yeah, we're still good on time. Some of them might be more relevant than others, but I think what I tried to do here is select the ones that are best suited. So a simple one. Again, if you're on the strategy side, again, this is for higher level executives. Here we went through and requested to identify patterns, opportunities, and potential risks. I think I would have added more to the prompt. This was again, it's using the data that OnePlan is capturing, that from all the different stakeholders. So we have the advantage of having directing, in this case, Sophia GPT, our feature to actually go through. But you can see that it provided a fairly articulate description of where the risk and opportunities are within our OKRs, and specifically, our at-risk objectives. Launch new products successfully and generate marketing needs are at risk if not addressed promptly. So here's where you could come in, and my follow-up prompt is always, okay, what are some initiatives that we can do to provide key results that are going to support the objectives? So which can also be generated by Sophia GPT. Portfolio optimization. This is more the portfolio. I'm still at the highest level, but I want to give you a perspective of everything you can do. So we have a canned prompt here to provide a summary of the data in the portfolio, and it's just a general summary. So you have a screen of about what 50, 60 initiatives, and it's giving you just a summary of a narrative of how everything is within the engine. I could copy paste this. You can copy and paste it now. Our next version will actually generate either the email or the form that is going to go into the workflow. The follow-up prompt here: which projects are at highest risk and explain why. And it goes through again using the information that's within the portfolio screen. You can actually derive this analysis. Obviously, we will look at the data, perfect it, and then proceed with a communication or some action that needs to be taken. I think this is where the project management side really comes through, and this is really exciting because imagine having the ability to create a project schedule. Now, when we do implementations of our product, we actually recommend that you use templates. So let's assume that this is actually for a project where we don't have any templates. We've never done a smart home automation system. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to ask the AI engine to actually create one. Like I said, we recommend organizational templates, but in this case, we didn't have one because it's the first time we've done smart home automation. And we went through and requested the project plan to be created. This is similar to an RFID example, but directly within OnePlan. And I think that's the value, that here you're actually inserting it within the scheduling engine of OnePlan, or ready for you to actually change and adjust as needed. And from here, you would just assign resources. In fact, I already went through and assigned some resources. You can make changes to duration, efforts, and what would have normally taken maybe a few hours to put together and perfect. Now we have a schedule ready to go. And in this case, now we've gone through and done further analysis by asking that rank the task by highest risk and explain why. Just further in-depth analysis of our schedule. So this could go directly into a risk log, risk registry, the ones that are relevant, based again on the experience of the PM, and we could take some mitigation steps also within them. Now let's go deeper. Let's go and do some optimization of schedule duration and cost. So here we're going to crash a schedule, see if we can make it shorter in order to save some time. And we can see here that, again, all subject to review by the project manager, but there's some suggestions that are relevant in order for us to have a more streamlined project. So we saved, the analysis shows that we're saving 9 days by effort remains the same, but optimized schedule can lower costs and reduce resource. So, we can do the analysis on those 9 days and see if it's relevant. We can do the same thing with cost. Oh, that we already went through that one, duration and cost. So risk identification and mitigation, I think these are of very valuable, especially if you're, you just got into the project. You're in a you need to generate risks, your risk log, prior to going into a review meeting with the stakeholders. And in this case, we've gone through and received some suggestions in terms of what the risk for this project can be. I think it's interesting that we have the mitigation strategy there also, which again we can take as is or embellish as needed. So we have five different risk categories, and within them there's 2 or 3 different risks that have been identified. The next category, resource capacity planning. I think in all cases where we go into an organization, this is one of the top areas of improvement, both at a project level and an enterprise level. So here we have the areas in resource capacity planning, resource allocation, capacity planning, resource optimization, and then what resources should we be hiring. So we'll start at the project level. Again, my smart home automation system. We have the derived resource plan that has been generated, and then based on the capacity, I'm getting a summary here of resource risk with an explanation of why. In some cases it's self-evident. There's risk over allocation. In some, we don't have. It's interesting. We have a generic project manager that hasn't actually been assigned, and it's actually identifying it as a lack of identity for the PM. We can go ahead and request a resource plan based on the project. And here it's actually going through and suggesting resources. This is similar to the earlier example of where you have the resources being identified for the project. I think what's interesting here is that we don't have a schedule. We have data on the project. We have a profile of the project from our details page, and it's going through and then making an estimate of the required resources for the shipping and delivery module. I think it's pretty outstanding as a starting point. And then the important question: how can we optimize resource utilization for this particular project? With the pool, we have a resource pool that's showing below with the actual capacity. So it's going through and doing analysis on availability, and then going to provide opportunities to optimize the resources. Now, in all these cases, the projects have been populated, and I can't emphasize enough that the quality of the response is based on the quality of the data that you have. So this is interesting here because it's actually giving us more than anything strategies to optimize resource utilization. With very specific examples, and developers over allocated 250 hours in May, business analysts at 168, balancing the workload among these users helped in reducing and improving efficiency. And then finally, what resources do I need to hire? I like this one a lot. This could be like a prompt before a project review. for an organization where you're seeing, okay, these are the over allocations that that are being identified, and what we need to either outsource or hire. A further prompt asks, how many resources by role. And again, I would say that this is our, our first, this is early stage, because what's going to happen is that all of these will have workflows attached to them. So these prompts will be generated automatically, at some point when the data has been perfected, prior to imagine being in a, a business unit PM meeting, and you're all looking at, what resources need to be hired. Well, the analysis will be shown, the output will be there for you to then make decisions on, at this point, we would go into the sequencing of our projects and the allocations, and then make decisions and how to overcome this with internal resources, or how to either delay projects or hire contingent staffing. Key insights and trends. Now, for cost, obviously this can be done. Now, here we have an entire budget and forecast of a specific project, and we have some pre-populated prompts that allow us to, do in this case, is key insights can be inferred from the financial data. So it's just general observations on the spend for the project, which again we can use to validate whether we have the data is accurate, and whether we need to pay attention to these, or whether they're observations that we're willing to overlook for the time being. It's either much later in the future, or not relevant. It's the variances that we can accept. But here it's even telling what are the recommendations. It even says you're welcome. More into cost categories. So you can customize your cost categories within the cost type, in this case a budget, and here we've prompted for highest risk of failure in not meeting the budget amount for the cost category. It started with the roles, because the cost categories brings the roles from the project plan, and then it gets into other direct cost, travel and expense, materials and supplies. And I think these are simple prompts. We could go deeper into it based on what I showed earlier, in order to get even greater insights. I think this is a winner for project managers. How to write a project summary email to the manager. So you've gone through, you've updated your tool, you've updated OnePlan, and here you're saying, give me a status report. Now, I could have gone into greater detail, by the way, and asking for a specific format with specific fields, but with a very simple project summary email, it's going through and providing the summarized data. Wow. That's excellent. Now I can edit it, copy. I'm going to copy it, copy, paste it, copy here, paste it in an email, and move on. And in the event that you're managing multiple projects, you can take that to the next level also. And it's a PMO intake lead to the steering committee. In this case, these are requested projects, and I have requested an email to the steering committee to select Horizon 1 and Horizon 2 projects by the end of a certain time frame. So we're going into project selection. So I've checked the data, it's perfected. So now I'm asking leadership to actually go through and review prior to going into our meeting. So the role here is demand manager, or someone that's managing requests for the organization. So another example of communication. All right. So before I start, I want to ask, was this helpful? So I've tried to give you kind of a broad perspective of everything that you could be doing. And interestingly enough, PMI has some very, very good resources for you. So I recommend that you get into it. Dive right in when you go into your PMI portal and look at the resources that are there, because I think that that's a great starting point if you haven't leveraged it. And then move on. And in our case, we provide more advanced scenarios for project management and portfolio management. And I think that's also the takeaway, that you want to use tools that are comprehensive and are going to help you, do your job end to end. Because imagine going to the PMI Infinity site and then copying that over and having to put it in back and forth. So as we evolve, as these tools evolve, you want to have something that is integrated within your project management work. And that's really what we've tried to do within OnePlan. So I think it's imperative for PMs and even program portfolio managers to integrate GenerativeAI into their workflows. You can do it faster. You can perfect your analysis. Our leadership team, believe it or not, is asking people, did you actually use the generative AI tools to generate the narrative? Because this narrative is very thin. So be aware that as soon as these tools become available to your organizations, that is probably going to be expected of us. So don't be surprised if you start seeing that lingo. Are you using the tools in order to get deeper content and insights? I think we're going to be able to accelerate our work, provide insights that we could have gotten our own probably, but it would have taken longer. In the end, it's our number one: can we deliver the business outcomes? Can we actually make change within our organizations through our delivery? And I think these tools are going to help the project managers. In our case, we've again integrated Azure OpenAI, which is secure, directly within the tool. I showed you multiple examples of that, so that you could see how you can leverage OnePlan. Our product is available now, and again, it's more secure. I would say that going out and using something that is just generally available. In closing, if you don't know of us, we are the leader within the Microsoft ecosystem, having been the partner of the year a number of years and finalist. We're recommended by Gartner, by Forrester, and other research analysts. So if your organization is looking for a portfolio management solution, please stop by and get to know us. We ourselves have webinars and are going deep into all of these topics. So if you want to, get into a greater discussion, a good starting point is looking at our webinars. The solution that you saw is based on our templates, and we have a number of different templates based on your requirement set. So V8GPT comes with OnePlan. You don't have to, you can turn it off if your organization doesn't want to use it, but it's already there for you. And it's using, again, the Azure secure Azure cloud. This is not, again, a service that's just available to the public. It's your own data, segmented within our cloud. We offer roadmap workshops, again, if you're in a situation where you're interested in looking at this. Also, if you're interested in just getting a general knowledge of what's going on within the Microsoft world with Project and Copilot, feel free to give me a call, and I will more than happy to meet with you. Thank you for your time, and look forward to having a discussion with you in the future. And for those that I'll put my contact info in the chat in case anybody wants to have a conversation on anything having to do with generative AI. I'm I'm into the technology, and I really constantly testing new scenarios. So if you want to share anything, or feel free to make contact.
Thank you, Jose. And we'll open for question for Jose. And just one more thing for our mentoring program, and you also with us on the call. He can answer any question for that. You can use chat or
Great.
put your question or open the mic and ask your
I
question.
see a question from Laura. Does this tool allow resource to log time against the project to help refine hours estimates? Absolutely. In our case, we have a task management tool as well as a timesheet. In the case of the Microsoft tools, you can update tasks within Teams, in the new Planner app. But in most cases, the tools have update mechanisms. In our case, again, we have a My Work and a My Timesheet in case you need a timesheet formally, and that goes back to the PM, and then the PM can adjust the schedule accordingly. So yes, that is a capability that we have. I think there's a question for Andy. How much time commitment required for the mentoring program?
Right now, can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right now, we're kind of working through the details. We're looking at you'd be meeting with, as a mentor, you'd be meeting with your mentee probably once a week, and we are in the process of trying to determine how long that mentorship program will last, whether it be a quarter or maybe longer. But roughly, once you get into the mentorship program, the amount of time that you're spending per week is going to depend on what you and what the mentor and mentee decide that time needs to be, whether it be weekly, bi-weekly, every other week. We will kind of leave that open, but that was what our thought process was. I know there was a question Joe had mentioned to me about being a mentor. Does that qualify for PDUs? And it does. Actually, on that screen that you have in front of you, which is the giving back category, if you look down at the bottom where it says sharing knowledge, it does list mentor right there as a option for giving back. So I hope that answers that question also. Are there any other questions that people have about the mentorship program?
Thank you, Andy. Say we have another question in the chat. You see it.
I used ChatGPT to answer that question, and it came back from McKinsey, by the way. Anyway, but so the prompting basically means you're designing the question in order to get a better response. So you're interacting with the model, okay? And if you saw that very first example that I had for RFID warehouse implementation, I kept asking it to perfect the response. Okay, no, the start date is this. Okay, now add this, correct this. So you're going through and you're trying to be as specific as possible in order to get a response that is accurate and acceptable. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, just while we're waiting for a question, this is the BDU claim code for today. You wanna take a screenshot or take this number to apply for BDU, and closing. For the upcoming chapter events, if you visit our website, PMINEO.org, you're gonna find a calendar there with the events. Go down, see the calendar, the upcoming events. The upcoming event we have We have a workshop in April and the BDD in May. This is how to and BDUs to renew your certificate. One of them is the webinars that we offer. The PMI offers that in PMI, and we have a Velocitech also podcast, and that's it. Joe emails everyone that we will email this presentation and BDU and the record for everyone.
So one last question. I think it's a valid one. How long did it take you to get effective with prompts? And I think every project manager can be good at prompting, because I think it's part of our job to be, effectively using resources to deliver outcomes and outputs. So myself, I'm a financial analyst, an analyst by training. So you're always, looking at the data and seeing, trying to observe and inferences to see how to perfect it. So for me, it was fairly easy. It was a welcome tool, actually, because I almost knew what I wanted to ask. But I think if you have, the mindset of analyzing data and analyzing content, you're gonna catch on fairly quickly. The guides that are provided by PMI, I think, are good for prompt engineering. So do take some time to review them, and then you'll pick it up and figure out how to define the role, define specifically what you ask, define some conditions, define some parameters, ask the prompt, perfect the output as it comes. It also depends what you're asking also, by the way, but generally that would be the you'll get into the pattern of knowing what to how to ask the prompt with the right data set. Hopefully that answered the question.
Thank you.
All right, team. If there's nothing else,